we don't know why there's such an attack on the oil and gas industry from this administration, because what's their alternative is to buy oil from Russia or Saudi Arabia, because demand is the same. And here's something that I'd like to point out to people. Every president of the United States since 1973 has had an energy independence policy, whether they're Republican or Democrat, until this administration. And they wanted to just cancel everything, cancel the Keystone Pipeline, make drilling impossible. But what they forget is we still have to drive to work, we have to heat our homes, our businesses, we have to drive our kids to soccer practice and football practice. And so the demand is the same, and they're not being honest.
Before we jump into some of the specifics, what else do people have to know about Oklahoma? I feel like it's just like one of those states that people they go through it, they maybe fly over it, and they don't think about it that much. But you guys are doing an awful lot when it comes to energy and a whole bunch more.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was just in Farnborough, England, representing our state for the aerospace and defense industry. And some of the things that I like to remind people is we're the 28th largest state population, 19th largest land area-wise. We've got some of the cleanest water, cleanest air in the country. We have an all-of-the-above approach in energy. In other words, we love oil and gas. We're number 6 in oil production, number 4 in natural gas, but we're also number 2 in wind energy production. So we're one of only 4 states that 40% of our energy comes from renewables. And so it's very attractive to a lot of companies right now. But we have the largest maintenance and repair facility on aviation in the country with Tinker Air Force Base, so great aviation industry. We've got an inland port, so most people don't realize that about Oklahoma. We have the farthest frost-free port in the country, all the way almost to Tulsa. So a lot of great things going on. We got great agriculture. We feed the world in a lot of cases from our agricultural side. Number 2 beef producer in the country. So a lot of great things going. And then the freedoms. Oklahoma City, I think, is the 25th largest city in the country. We've got the Thunder, a professional sports team. So the quality of life, the commute in Oklahoma is like 15 minutes compared to an hour in some of the other major metro areas. So people love the quality of life. You got to come visit Oklahoma.
And I'm guessing house prices a little bit better than here in Florida right now.
Definitely right. I mean, we obviously are, everything's going up all over the country. But we've got an arbitrage right now, and that's what businesses are seeing, is that they can come in and the quality of life with the cost of living allows them to pay less than you can on some of the coast. And with COVID, you're seeing people move and saying, I don't have to work in this big city, or through technology we can live anywhere. But we're also seeing headquarters move to Dallas-Fort Worth and move to Oklahoma City and move to other states and get out of the New York City areas or the Bay areas where crime is rampant and homelessness and all the stuff that doesn't happen in our state.
You mentioned the amount of oil and gas you guys produce, and then also wind power. Does that cause any tension in the business community or any tension with the federal government? Because the federal government at least seems to view oil and gas versus wind as very, very different things. They like one, they don't like the other.
You know, that's the thing that blows their mind whenever I go and meet with the Biden administration and their Secretary of Energy, and we talk about it all the time. Those things can coexist together. We believe in the free market in Oklahoma. We believe in an all-of-the-above approach. So they do coexist just fine. We love our oil and gas industry, and you can't have an intellectually honest conversation about the needs of Americans and a reliable energy grid without talking about natural gas and talking about oil. But we don't shy away. We're leaning into hydrogen, for example. I signed an MOU with the governor of Arkansas and Louisiana. We believe that we will get one of the 4 hydrogen hubs to prove out. It's a $2 billion kind of program to prove out a commercialization use of hydrogen. But you're going to need pipelines for hydrogen development. We can coexist together, and you can talk about transition, and you can talk about oil and gas. And again, we don't know why there's such an attack on the oil and gas industry from this administration, because what's their alternative is to buy oil from Russia or Saudi Arabia, because demand is the same. And here's something that I'd like to point out to people. Every president of the United States since 1973 has had an energy independence policy, whether they're Republican or Democrat, until this administration. And they wanted to just cancel everything, cancel the Keystone Pipeline, make drilling impossible. But what they forget is we still have to drive to work, we have to heat our homes, our businesses, we have to drive our kids to soccer practice and football practice. And so the demand is the same, and they're not being honest.
Do you think that I think is the part. Do you think that they actually are just simply not being honest, or this is by design, that they know people have to go to work, they know people have to, get in the car, but they are sort of telling us, hey, we want off this stuff regardless of the repercussions?
I hope that's not the case, but I've seen the reports just like you that they make these statements like, well, we knew that prices were going to be jacked up for a while, but that's going to be part of the process to get off of oil and gas. And I hope that's not true, because to harm Oklahomans or to harm Americans just because you have some kind of left-wing agenda, that's not the president that I would hope would be representing our country. But I don't know what's happening, because it doesn't make common sense to most Americans on why they are burying their head in the sand and not having an honest conversation, when just a couple years ago we were energy independent. And you're now seeing inflation skyrocket, everything costs more, 40-year highs at everything, and actually they're harming the people that they actually think that they're protecting. And that's what people need to understand, is these policies from the Democratic Party actually hurt average Oklahoma, middle-income people. The rich get richer, and it hurts everyday Oklahomans. It's the Republicans. It's a free market. It's the innovation of business that actually helps the middle class grow.
Yeah, absolutely. You're preaching to the choir over here. My audience gets it. Anything else we should know broadly about Oklahoma before I want to dive into some of this stuff that I heard you talking about what's going on with the Native American reservations there, which is really fascinating. But anything else you want to get off your chest quick?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'll probably be circling back to it.
Okay, so when I heard you speak a couple weeks ago, you told a really fascinating story and was describing some of the tension that Oklahoma faces over what's going on with the Native American reservations there, and how there is seemingly a disparate distance in the way laws are being applied when it comes to Native American population versus the average Oklahoman. You told a couple anecdotes about that. Can you just kind of give me the 101 on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first off, the McGirt decision came out in July of 2020. And basically what it said, it was the U.S. Supreme Court decision called McGirt. So I'll encourage everybody to look it up. But basically it said that we still had reservations in Oklahoma. So about half of our state was all of a sudden turned back into an Indian reservation. Tulsa, Oklahoma, with 1 million people, was now considered an Indian reservation. And here's the deal. I'm not against the Indians. I'm actually a member of the Cherokee. We're proud of our heritage.
You yourself.
Literally, I can show you my card. My heritage, I have Indian blood. So I have a membership to the to the Cherokee Nation. So it's not an anti-Indian thing. But this is a pro-Oklahoma thing. This is a common sense thing. So what was happening is we had tribal governments then saying that they didn't have to follow the laws of the state of Oklahoma. They were saying that that if you were Indian, you didn't have to pay taxes in Oklahoma, but every other race did. They were saying that the district attorneys couldn't prosecute crimes the same way. So you had a situation that you didn't have fairness, you didn't have equal protection under the law.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop yelling, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist, all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.